One sec. Just about ready. One sec. All right, we're on live stream and we're streaming on YouTube as well. So we're ready.
Very good.
Just here.
All right.
Go ahead, Judy.
Good morning, Peter. Thank you. Good morning. Hey, everybody.
Morning. Morning.
We have a quorum, and so I am gonna call both meetings to order. So good morning, everyone. I'm Judy Calogero. This is the Glens Falls Industrial Development Authority, and I am calling together a special board meeting of the IDA, and I'm also calling together the public hearing on the 88 Ridge Royal LLC project. And so the board will take this into consideration, and we want to hear from the public before we vote on this matter. And in order to do that, I would just like to make a brief statement about the project. And then we're joined today by Tyler Herrick, who is the general manager of the Queensbury Hotel, which is owned by 88 Ridge Royal LLC. So the LLC made an application to the Glens Falls IDA, and they made a presentation at the IDA meeting earlier this month. The IDA has an existing agreement with the hotel's owners, the owner, for the renovation work that was completed in 2019, 2020 to update the guest rooms and some of the common area spaces. This new application and new phase calls for an expansion of the Adirondack Ballroom, a new banquet production kitchen, and some other renovation work to update a few smaller interior spaces. The LLC is requesting a sales and uses tax exemption to help with the rising cost of construction materials and supply chain issues, and for a mortgage tax, a mortgage recording tax exemption. So the LLC has an existing pilot agreement with the IDA, and they are not requesting an extension or a change to that agreement. We have received a completed application, and the members have asked questions in the past, and application is in good standing with us, and the members ask that we move forward with this public hearing. And so as we start, I'll ask Tyler Herrick to make a few comments before we open it up. Tyler?
Yeah, no, good morning, everyone. Thank you again for the opportunity and the consideration. Just a kind of brief summary or update of the project. This project is basically going to be finishing off all the spaces that, were existing that haven't been touched. And that was the Adirondack Ballroom that's been there since, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s. We're going to be expanding that room off the back of the building, approximately 5,200 square feet. That will enable us to, have one large room when we open up all the air walls that should be able to accommodate, events for 400 to 450 in a dinner environment. And then, for different trade shows or cocktail parties, things like that, upwards of 700. Like Judy said, it's also going to be giving us a much needed added production and kitchen facility. Since Mr. Moore purchased the property in 2016, we've more than doubled the events as well as the revenues for the restaurants, and the need for added space was evident, before we really dove into this project, and is even more evident as we see the demand continue to rise for these type of conventions and large social gatherings in downtown. Just a brief update on jobs and job creation from the project. Right now we're right around 80 employees at the Queensbury Hotel. Pre-pandemic, we were just over 100. And, we feel that, this project alone will, produce an additional 15 year-round full-time jobs, and then an additional 10 to 15 temporary or seasonal kind of part-time positions in the banquet, space. From a construction perspective, our partner B&H Construction did get back to us. They believe it will create 21 construction jobs throughout the course of the project, all of which coming from, either Warren or Saratoga, Washington counties. Most of them coming from the, Washington, Saratoga, about 15 there, and then the rest within Glens Falls. Overall, I feel that, and I know that, the ownership has the same sentiments, that, what this project will also do is help us to continue to bring more visitors to Glens Falls and continue to drive business to the downtown community. Over 2019, the last calendar year pre-pandemic, we have welcomed 11,000 guests that were from out of state. And, obviously we're still bringing a lot more guests, from downstate areas. But, I believe the economic impact that, the property is bringing will only increase with this project. Additionally, we have had to do some preliminary site work, but all the construction that, has happened so far was really, like Judy mentioned, resulting of supply chain issues, resulting of just, we got to get these things done. For a lot of the work done so far is just major electrical upgrades that, really were needed, whether we did this or not. And, the prep work and the site work that's taken place is to be ready when National Grid is ready. And for anybody that's done major construction projects, they can tell you they'll be there in a month and they might show up tomorrow. And if they say they can come tomorrow, you don't want to tell them not to come, because you may not see them for another 6 months. So we really needed to get that conduit laid and get that, major line prepped. So when they say they're ready, which is hopefully sooner than later, we're ready to go as well. So, look forward to any questions or comments about the project. But, again, we just feel that this is another step in the right direction for, our whole community, downtown Glens Falls, and the region.
Thank you, Tyler. And before I open it up to the board members, let me open this up to the public and see if there's any questions or comments from the public. Okay, I have one person on iPhone. I don't know who that is, but feel free to ask a question or make a statement if you'd like.
I believe that's Zach Moore and Ed Moore that they're calling in. We couldn't be together today.
Okay. I see a Suzanne Scott. Suzanne, do you have any comments?
No, I don't.
Okay. So let me open this up to the board members of the IDA and see if you have any questions, and or our staff, or.
I just had one question.
Go ahead, Mary.
I had just wanted to, I didn't remember you saying anything about the parking. Did you need additional parking, or is your parking going to be substantial enough?
Everything has been approved by, the planning board and site committee. I think, we've been blessed that in the city of Glens Falls, we have one of the largest, if not the largest, private parking lot. We also have great relationships with, the former K-Mare complex group across the street. And we've, worked very kind of hand in glove with them anytime that there's a major event, being able to park, whether our staff and or, buses and things like that across the street. So we'll continue to work with those partnerships and do whatever we can to alleviate it, because it's obviously not only a concern for, the city, but also when we're having these guests, we need to make it as convenient as possible.
Tyler, this is Judy again. Do you I think you reported to us a loss of about 4 parking spaces. Is that, I don't know. if
That's correct.
number. That's
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
Okay. Any comments or questions from our staff? Suzanne, Jeff, Mark,
Nope.
any comments or questions from our council? Kara?
No, I don't have any further questions.
So we have prepared a resolution in draft for everyone to consider in case you wanted to move forward here today. And I did send that around to everyone. And that would approve the project and allow us to close rather quickly. That would allow any material purchases to benefit from the sales tax exemption starting this week. And then we would be in a position and prepared for the mortgage tax exemption as soon as the Queensbury closed with their bank financing. We don't have a date for that yet. Tyler, were you able to get a date yet on that closing?
Not officially yet, but we had that pre-approval letter from Glens Falls National Bank, and they've been a great partner with the Moore family for decades. So all signs are moving in the right direction. We just need to get them a couple more updated financials.
Okay. Let me check again to see if there are any members of the public who are here and would like to speak.
There are none online at this point, Judy.
I would like to keep the meeting, the public hearing open for another 15 minutes if the members don't mind. I just want to give the public an opportunity to speak if anyone's going to jump on. Kara, what are your thoughts on that? Should would 30 minutes be appropriate if we have no speakers?
Yes, I think that would be sufficient if no one else joins the meeting, just to give everybody an opportunity to log on if they're trying to from home or something else.
Okay.
Just keep the conversation going. Tyra, can you give us kind of a timeline, more of the construction side of it, so that we in the city can be prepared?
Yeah, our goal is that we have a good part of the exterior structure done before the end of this year. We're going to be utilizing the Adirondack room and Saratoga, Washington room that will be mostly affected up and through January 1st. And then at that time we'll shut down that wing of the property, and hopefully there's no further delays. And we are anticipating that we'll be opening the facility sometime in June, and that's our goal. We don't have it sold until the end of July, so we're trying to kind of play that game of not overcommitting too soon. But our construction partners have said that it's really, once we can get the steel up and other of the main structure, the inside stuff should go pretty quickly. We are a little concerned about lead time on kitchen equipment and some of those factors, but because of our existing infrastructure of the kitchen that we have now, as long as we could get the room up and running, we'll be ready to welcome guests as soon as we can. So that's kind of current timeline. They saying it's a little quicker than that, but everybody here has gone through construction projects, so we don't want to, I don't know. But that's what on paper, I mean, we got a beautiful timeline on a nice Excel sheet. And so that's the targets we're trying to hit.
Tyler, when we took a look at your application and looked at the community benefits, certainly we were pleased to see some jobs, not just the construction jobs, which are temporary, but the permanent jobs you're adding. But the other thing that was, I think, compelling and interesting for us, and we didn't expect to see, but the number of hotel stays you've had in the last year from people from out of state, people coming into the community. I know some come for special events, but having over 11,000 hotel room stays by people from other states was that unusual for you for this year? Or is that something you track annually? If you could.
Yeah, I
talk
mean,
a
I
little
think
bit about
I
that.
think it's actually greater than that, and the struggle that a lot of it really was uncovered when during the pandemic, when the hospitality and kind of tourism group really got together even more to try to figure out ways to reopen, and that kind of regional approach, I think really did everybody well. But the issue when we tried to do a lot of data mining was that with the onset of online travel agencies like Expedia and Booking.com and those places, there's this war in our industry of capturing the guest and having it be your guest. So they go through your booking channels, and you don't have to pay commissions to the big Expedias and things like that. And what Expedia and Booking.com have done really well is that they're controlling the guests. They use single-use credit cards now. It's an effort to say that the properties are going to get their cash flow quicker and not have to wait for the monthly check from the big players. But what that on a counter effect does is that it's very hard for you to get the zip codes and personal information of that traveler. There was a little bit more partnership at the beginning of the pandemic on the reopening because there was so many tracking procedures and things that we needed in place to make sure that there was an out-of-state guest coming. But kind of since things have opened up, it's back to the old games of no, it's an Expedia guest that's just staying at your hotel. So I would think that number is even higher. But it just keeps building. If you look at our growth when we took over originally, they were running an annual occupancy in the 40 percentiles. And pre-pandemic, we were, about mid 50s. And it's all statistics in regards to occupancies. It's a tough one to analyze too, because some property, for example, our Fairfield property in Queensbury, that's running closer to an 80% occupancy for the year, but it's only 77 rooms, whereas the Queensbury is 123 rooms. So we may only run a 55%, but we're selling more rooms and we're getting a better rate. So it's kind of a sticky wicket, but we do feel that with everything that's gone on in the city, that the city is really our big asset. We don't have a resort. We have the restaurants and our pool and those amenities. But what we're finding is that what our guests love is the fact that they can step out the front door, have a plethora of options for restaurants and entertainment from the theaters and the Hyde Museum and the Chapman and things to do that they don't have to go very far. And we launched a new website. We're working a lot more with Mannix Marketing to really kind of target market folks that are coming to either Saratoga or Lake George region and trying to drive them to Glens Falls and say, you can stay right in between the two kind of tourist destinations, go and, enjoy the hustle and bustle of Lake George when you want to, but, come back to Glens Falls and kind of be able to get away from it too. So I think it's just a lot more than that number, but that number will continue to grow. I'm confident of that.
Jeff Flagg has a question.
Tyler, just as you're talking about this, one question that comes to mind, indirectly related to your specific project, but you were talking about trying to get hopefully up and operational with an expansion by July. Given the current extraordinarily tight labor market, I mean, I know that IDA projects are sort of focused on job creation, but when you talk about sticky wickets, one of the problems right now is getting enough workers. Are you guys seeing, how do you anticipate sort of trying to address the wonderful expansion of employment you have when, I think on the one hand, when you and I first met, we had to at least delay the meeting a little bit because you were over making beds. So I'm just curious as to how you guys are individually navigating this without respect necessarily to this project, but obviously the expansion is going to impact that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, since, and we could go down a rabbit hole with the governmental assistance programs and things like that, but, since the added unemployment benefits have expired, we've had more applications, more new hires in the last, 20 to 30 days than we did for, probably the first 6 months of the year, 7 months of the year. So I think that that's a nice sign that looks like people are coming back into the workforce. Probably schools, being open full time and in person has aided that. But the other thing is that, I feel that, people want to work in more in a year round hospitality solution than some of the seasonal ones that are in our region. And that's something that we're going to be able to offer. And, rather than going through that lifestyle of, working 6 days a week like crazy, from May and through till October, we've actually had a lot of people from other seasonal operations that came down to us that said, this is great. I can work 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. And, I'm not going to work 60 hours for 6 months and then be trying to find 20 hours a week. So I hope that helps. And then just, I kind of couple that with all the work the city's doing with, new housing solutions and, really trying to get more people to kind of live in the neighborhoods, downtown and other places that, we're one of the few solutions that, either A, there is public transportation, to get to our facility. And it's very walkable. There's just like, I got 4 little children in the school district and they walk to school every day. They can do the same thing to get to and from work. So hopefully as more people kind of come up to the area, that will help. But no, it's always a challenge, but I think that we're going to have, go back to restaurant workers and or banquet, workers, things like that. They want to work in a great facility, but they also want to, get a nice paycheck. And the more business that we can drive to do that, I think that will attract even more people to come down and work.
Thank you.
Tyler, last winter, you guys did something that was a little unusual. You put these kind of dome type outdoor seating areas on your patio. Wondering if you're going to do that again.
Yes. Yeah, they will. We've been we might have thought about doing some patio work. I don't know if that's going to happen now because of the weather, turning. But yes, we have the 3 igloos. Our goal is that they will be open the weekend before Thanksgiving to try to kind of get that rolling. And then I really want everything up and running, fully decorated for when we obviously have Festival of Trees, which is the weekend after Thanksgiving. And then, all the work that the collaborative is doing in regards to getting Chris Kindle Mart downtown. I think having, the park lit up and Chris Kindle Mart in City Park with our igloos across the street, hometown holidays, all those things that are going on downtown during those 3 weeks, we want to be up and running. We were a little behind the game last year, but that was because, it was taking like 6 months to get a plastic globe to be able to put people in, but they were a huge success. And we've even looked at trying to add more to the courtyard area so we could do, have 6 igloos rather than just 3. But, we think those are here to stay, and we're gonna, some of the patio work we were talking about doing is do we put radiant heat, into the patio just to make that igloo experience a little bit more comfortable in some of those January nights.
Great. Your restaurant bar area on the corner of Maple and Ridge also seems to be, when I go by, rather busy. I don't know if it's all hotel guests that would probably be difficult to track, but I'm guessing, given the number of people in there at times, that you're also pulling in from the Glens Falls community, some regulars from here that are using your facility in that way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we first took over in 2016, it was definitely the local population kind of coming back, from a long time that maybe they chose other solutions. But no, it's a good mix. I mean, we definitely see, obviously the convenience for our guests just to come downstairs and, grab a drink or food. But I would probably say it's about a 50-50 mix between locals and hotel use. And, that's the other added benefit, on any Friday or Saturday night, pretty much year round, we have 300 to 350 guests that are at the hotel. And, that the pub can only accommodate, about 40. So they're eating and they're going out into town. And, the more restaurants have popped up on Ridge Street, I feel, since, we kind of re-emerged on the scene a little bit. And I know there's some more restaurants that are even planning to open. So I think it's just it's a win-win for everybody, but it's definitely increased. And I think it's a combination of not just, new ownership, but the commitment to, the taking care of our culinary team a little bit better than they had in the past, and putting a good product or even better product on the plate.
So let me go over a few other items for our minutes for the record here. Our IDA has an existing lease agreement dating back to September 30, 2016 with the LLC, which is in good standing. We would be amending that lease agreement and making the changes as we discussed. The IDA is determined that the project meets our requirements and is consistent with our goals of the IDA and the city of Glens Falls. The project has already been approved by the planning board. It has also gone through a seeker action, and it is a historic facility, both in its own right and within a city, one of the city's most significant historic districts. And the proposed changes to the building are consistent with that, with those historic requirements. The city has determined under seeker that it is an unlisted action. We understand that the investment is going to be about 3.875 million and possibly greater. And again, we're being asked to approve for a sales tax exemption and a mortgage tax exemption, and that would occur when the Glens Falls National Bank closing takes place. The sales tax exemption would probably take place starting today. And the project is going to be responsible for the acquisition of a number of materials for this project. And so before I call for a motion, let me see if there's any more questions or comments, either from the public or from the members. There being none, I would like to close the public hearing. Our board meeting is open and still running. And I will accept a motion to approve the resolution that you have before you to approve the 88 Ridge Royal LLC project. As
So moved, Mary.
So moved by Mary Gooden. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by, I'm sorry,
Jane.
Jane Reed, second. All in favor?
Aye.
I have an in favor by Todd Feigenbaum, by Feigenbaum, by Mayor Hall, by Jane Reed, I believe by Mary Gooden, and by John Cordes, and also by myself. The motion is approved. We'll move to close quickly. Any other business to come before the board before we close? We do have a meeting in November. I do not recall the date right now, but I think you have that in your records. And I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Thanks,
Thank you,
Tyler.
Judy.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Thank you very
day.
much.
See you,
Bye.
Peter.
Thank you,
Motion to
everybody.
adjourn. Second,
Have a
Jane.
great day.
Bye-bye.
I know.